What is going on, my reefing fam? March here, Fragbox TV. This is my lovely bulldog Diggs, and welcome back to the channel. We are unboxing a order of corals that we got from Indonesia. I was actually there, what was it, a week ago? When did I get back, guys? 1 week? 10 days? I just got back. I'm still on a different sort of time, and we're unboxing them. I actually picked these ones out with these very hands. So these corals are going to be a little bit nicer than the ones we normally get in. We get in some nice stuff. A lot of it is hand-picked. Okay, I can't say hand-picked. It's picked via photos. This time it's really hand-picked. I mean, my hands literally went into the tanks. I picked them, and now they're here. We've shipped them back. So I've begun to unbox them. We're a couple boxes in. And I think the highlight of this order is going to be two corals in particular. It's going to be the Acropora. So the acro from this supplier, it's my best acro supplier out there. They look really good so far, and I got a nice variety of different species: granulosas, tenuis, robusta, abratanoides, carduce, you name it. I picked one or two really nice ones of each. The other really nice standout coral from this order is going to be the zoanthids. Now these are going to be the only corals that we actually dip today. Why don't we dip all of them? You know, we have Favias coming in, Blastomusas, we have acans, we have Euphilia, torches, hammers, frog spawns. The corals are under quite a bit of stress, so it doesn't make sense. They're at the, I'm going to take words from, hey, what are you doing? Stop eating my clove polyps, you stupid sailfin. I'm watching you. Oh, maybe you just see some algae. Tidal Gardens, good friend of mine. He put it best in a video. Actually, in the podcast, he was talking to the owner of Polyp Lab and Phil Gilbert. He said, when you bring them in, they are at the single most stressful time that they're ever going to be in, is right now. They've been in the boxes for 2 days. They're healthy. They look good. They will not survive a dip. So we do a visual inspection, and then we can dip in the next coming days. We can't dip now. It will kill them. It really falls on the hobbyist to dip, to take these precautions. It's just good practice, good husbandry is to dip. But now that being said, I can dip the zoas. These things are immortal. These things are really easy to keep, and they ship really well. I don't even measure. I just take my 2 little fishies revived and I pop it in this thing. I mix a lot, and I watch so much come off. It kills the good and the bad, but it's very soft on the corals. It's not going to damage the zoas. And why do I dip the zoas? 1, they can handle it. 2, they're probably the dirtiest corals out of all of them. They can come with nudibranches that eat them, spiders, zoanthid eating snails. We see sundial snails. There's funguses that come on them that can transfer to other ones. So they're unfortunately susceptible to so many different pests and issues. So a dip is really helpful. It's really gentle on them. They can survive it. So I'm going to grab all the zoas from here. I think I picked, like, I went a little bit psycho. I think there's like 60-70 colonies in here. So I'm going to do a dip on these, and I'm going to talk to you about some other stuff that we got going on. Hey, I forgot to mention, before we jump into today's video, I'm looking for a video editor. I want to take the channel to the next level. I have some really important content I want to share with everyone from Indonesia when we were diving, and I'm reaching out for help. If someone out there is into video editing, I'm looking for a professional. If you can help us, please message us. Email is fragboxcorals@gmail.com. Okay, 2 little fishes revive. It's my preferred dip. We are not paid to say that. We are not sponsored by anyone. I really just love the product, and it works. Anything that has that name on it, you can really trust it. Julian Sprung is not going to use that, and not going to put his reputation on the line for just anything. Great product. Now, something I like to say on the channel a lot is do as I say, don't do as I do. Do as I say, don't do as I do. Why? Because I'm going to show you what not to do. Don't do like March. So March goes like this. Whee! Ooh, whee! Don't do that. It's 4 capfuls to a gallon. Measure it out so you don't harm the coral, and then leave it in there.
Oh, wait.
I believe it says 5 to 10 minutes. Whatever. Set a timer. March, do as I say, don't do as I do. Look, this is how you don't do it. Whee! Too much, probably, but zoas can handle it. That's why I do it. I give it a little swirl, and I'll sometimes go over just a little bit over 10 minutes. Like I said, don't do it this way. I'm showing you the negatory. I'm showing you the wrong way so you can do the right way. Right, kids? Okay, so I'm gonna give it about 5 minutes and we'll see what we find. If I don't find a pest, it's not possible. Getting zoanthids like this, there's gonna be something. I already see a nudibranch, actually, or nudibranch, wherever you're watching from. Maybe you're watching from the United Kingdom and you say, oh, look at this, Victoria. Come, Elizabeth, I want to show you something. That is a little nudibranch, and it eats the fucking zoanthids, this little cunt. Okay, actually, he's so small, I don't think the camera's gonna pick it up. That on my finger will make your life a living hell. No, it won't. They're pretty easy to eradicate, but it's not fun. Once you get one, they can reproduce pretty quickly. So that's why I was saying we dip the zoas, and then I'm going to start looking for eggs. Okay, cut! Check this out here. So this is some beautiful frog spawn coral. I just want to show you guys how they ship, how they come looking, because they look really rough right now, but I can tell you from experience, this is good. This is what you want to see. It's a full band of flesh. The water is not murky, and it's not too hot, it's not too cold. Temperature's perfect. Out of all the suppliers we use, these guys have some of the best when it comes to shipping. Very, very professional. They know what they're doing. Lots of water. It ends up costing more money for the shipping because we're paying per kilo to get it here. Shipping is actually a lot of the cost of bringing corals in is the shipping cost, because we're in Canada, we're so far away. So, Kalina, flashlight. Okay, I really like soft corals, and the longer I do this, the more they're growing on me. So I picked out some really nice toadstool zoas, clavularia. If you know what that is your test question of the day. Maybe we should start doing that every episode. Test question. What is clavularia? Okay, I'm getting a little sidetracked, but check this out. Give me some light. This is a funky little nudie. I've never seen it before. Most people will consider nudies a pest. He's just trying to live his life. You know what? We'll put him somewhere. Every life is precious. He's kind of cute, actually. All right, we are all done. 175 new pieces. They're just starting to open up. I have 2 more shipments coming. So it does look like, March, where are all the corals? You didn't get them all. We spread them around. We put some of the torches in the basement. There are a couple of them here. I even threw a couple just temporarily in here because sometimes it's nice to see the corals from the side profile, kind of like how you would see them at home. They're all looking really good. Virtually no DOAs on this order, but the zoanthids, I can't wait to share these with you. So I typically do like this sort of quick kind of unboxing video, and then in a couple days, once everything is settled in and looking really nice and open, then I like to go over and show you what actually what came in. So I'm gonna do it this time. I'm gonna wait for all 3 orders to come in. So we have 1 of 3, and then it'll be super full in here. And then I can do a nice big walkthrough of over 600 different species. This is what we got for Acropora. They're a little bit stressed right now, but I want to show you some pieces that really stand out. This one right here is really cool. If my fish for just a second would stop moving the water surface of the water, that's a really nice one. Some beautiful tenuous milliporas. What often gets called Pikachu. I think it's the Acropora microclados. Bonsai Velita, this is such a classic, and a Bratinoides. This is a personal favorite of mine just because it's so thick. It's such like a chunky branch. I only picked really the best of the best. So I think it's about 45 colonies in total. I wish I took more of this. I only took 1, but I wish I got more of this blue. I believe it's called a Hoaximai. Now, you hear me say these funny words on the channel. It's the Latin name, and I think it's important that we learn them because I think it helps connect us with the corals, and it's, I think, a lot more valuable than just knowing the fancy trade names. Like, okay, maybe it's good to know if you have a New York Nix torch so that if you're trading someone, you know, I'll give you New York Nix for Dragon Soul, but I think it's also important to know that you're dealing with a Euphilia glabarensis, or in this case right here, I believe this is called Euphilia davisa, which we commonly call frog spawn. I think it just makes us better hobbyists and more responsible. And you know, a lot of these corals, at least all the ones that I've shown you in today's video, are aquaculture. They're farmed. There are still people that take them out of the wild. There is an amount of wild corals that are allowed to be exported, even though they're endangered. It's under the convention of endangered, trade of endangered species, basically. So I think Latin names are important just because, you know, if you hear, okay, Euphilia glabarensis are in trouble, you know that it's a torch coral. And I think it's just better for the hobby. And I feel myself moving away from fancy trade names, except maybe I'm a hypocrite when it comes to zoas because there's just so many different varieties. But the name game, I can tell you, has got a little bit out of control, and the hobbyists want the name. So there'll be times I'm here in the store and someone asks me for the name. It happened once, I can remember very vividly. It was a really inexpensive zoanthid, and it didn't have a fancy name. It was $10 or something like this. And I told the customer, I don't know, it's a zoanthid. But that wasn't enough for her. She needed to know the name, and she pushed for the name. And I'm telling her, it's not a named zoa. It doesn't have a name that we go by, like for example, scrambled eggs, blue-eyed blondes, King Midas, Pineapple Express, Sunny D, Skittles, Fruit Loops, Rastas, Nirvanas, Blue Agaves, Purple Death, Butt Muncher, Supernovas, Playboy Bunnies, oh no, I got one of them wrong, Orange Oxides, and Green Dragon Eyes. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make, oh, you know what, just to round it off, and because I have ADHD, utter chaos. This zoanthid didn't have a name, but she wasn't going to buy it unless it had a name. So I made up the name on the spot, and then she bought it. And when she left, I kind of joked about it with my staff. I'm like, guys, I just made up that name. They're all made up. Remember that. They're all made up. So by only buying frags and corals with names, I think you're doing yourself a little bit of a disservice. And I'm just speaking from like a time when I began in the hobby. There were no fancy trade names. I remember the first one that I ever encountered was actually this one. One of the first ones, Candy Apple Red. And I thought that buying zoanthids by the head was the stupidest friggin' thing in the world. I just couldn't imagine someone would pay for one polyp. I was beside myself. I was flabbergasted. That's the word I'm going with. But then I saw these stupid things and I fell in love with them, and I paid $30 back then. Talking 15, 16 years ago, to my friend Jalapeno, who used to run Frag Cave in his basement. I bought a single head for 30 bucks, and I was forever hooked on the names of zoanthids. You hear I'm a little bit of a hypocrite. I go back and forth. How don't call them names, but then I bought into the names. But that was when I was more of a consumer and more of a hobbyist. Now, as I own the shop, I'm on the other end. I see both sides of the spectrum. As someone who keeps one of these at home, I have a Reef Casa Laguna in my basement, but I also own the shop, and I'm doing this in order to make a profit. So the point I'm trying to make is, don't get so caught up with the names. It's getting a little bit out of hand. Everyone has a different name. Just buy the corals you like, because the names, I feel like in time they're gonna ruin it. We didn't have names when I started. I feel like an old man preaching now, but it's just from the reefing time that I came from, and it wasn't really that long ago. We didn't really even call them frags. We called them pieces. I remember some of the first pieces that I bought of someone. We didn't even call them frags. I said, give you a piece of this for a piece of that. Do you have a piece of hammer? Do you have a piece of frog spawn? And I can't pinpoint the moment when I noticed that I was calling them frags, and that everyone started calling them frags, and the whole industry now is more or less frag dominated. If you go to a Reefapalooza, an Aquashella, a Skelly Fest, any one of these shows, you see vendors selling what? They're selling frags. Even you go into stores, so many of the colonies are not for sale. What I like to do with these ones, I like to offer the colonies first. If you got a bigger tank or you want, the entire piece, please, by all means. You save me the time of fragging, and they're beautiful the way they are. I would much rather sell the colony, but I know from just experience here in the shop, they're not going to sell as colonies. They're going to sell as frags. People want smaller pieces that they can kind of grow out. They're going to be less expensive, and if it doesn't make it, you lose just a fragment, a piece, might we say, of the coral, rather than losing a whole colony. It can be quite discouraging. I remember the first acro colony I lost. It was completely my fault. I'm embarrassed to tell you why. I think I might get into it in another video, because it's a really embarrassing story, the first one I lost. So I don't really want to talk about it today, because I want to leave you with some words of wisdom, not some words of, we're not allowed to say retarded anymore. What can we say, kids? What do they say if you're acting retarded? I was special needs. I don't know what the actual politically correct term is. Off camera, I'm very not politically correct. I am more or less retarded. Okay, we have a couple actual beautiful acanthophilias coming, and I'm going to do a video on them, on how to keep them, how to care for them, and then I'm never going to import another acanthophilia. You will never see that coral again in this store, and I just have a couple thoughts about them after being on this trip, and I'll share them with you in that video, but these will be the last ones. I've already ordered and committed to them, and then after that, I think they're just, I think as hobbyists and store owners especially, and I know that my friends at AAC, if he's watching this, Paul would definitely agree, we have to have some sort of boundaries. It can't just be, you know, it's beautiful and large and colorful and we're going to take it. It can't be like that. There needs to be some rules, because I think as hobbyists and as store owners, we're going to lead to the extinction of a couple really important corals. Or maybe it's up to you to decide if they're important. If there's no more acanthophilias or cynarinas or elegants or torch corals in the wild, is your life really going to change? It's up to you to decide, I guess, if that's important. And I think that I want to be a more responsible shop owner. I feel myself being pulled towards the side of sustainability. I don't want to preach too much about not selling any more wild caught fish, but I can't tell you the paradigm shift. I can't express how important it was for me underwater diving for the first time in Indonesia. How much, I don't know what happened, but somebody upstairs is knocking, and at the same time I'm pointing to the heavens. And God was talking to me, and I had a really, really big shift in the way I think about these animals, and I see them as the holy creatures that they are now. Anyways, I'm not going to get spiritual, religious, or crazy talk on you in this episode. Maybe I'll save that for another one. That's it, guys. I'm going to go back to, what do I do after the camera turns off? I'm going to clean the store, because I like to keep it clean in here, and put everything away, and try and finish this new, we've been calling it the macrovert. It's like an extension of our invert system, where we're going to house macro, algae, and anemones, because I see macro as like the new big trend, if you guys have noticed, in reef tanks, is keeping beautiful display, hard to come by, rare macroalgae alongside your corals. And as an entrepreneur and a shop owner, I try to stay a little bit, if possible, ahead of the curve. So, you know, I see something coming, I see a trend, I try and ride that wave, and I see it coming with macroalgae and hopefully with sustainable reef keeping in general. It's kind of what led to the creation of our Reef Casa brand of the aquariums, because I saw that we weren't really selling larger tanks. Our Red Sea Reefer sales dropped off, water box we don't carry anymore, and really it's small nano tanks, to the point where I can comfortably import 500-600 units of aquariums, because I know they're going to sell, because that's just where the market is. I bet a lot of people watching these videos have tanks that are probably under 40 gallons in size. It's about 120 something liters. Anyways, this one is rambling, and I'm going off topic as usual, but that's how the ADHD works. Thanks for coming along for the ride. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you in the shop soon to come check out some of the really cool new corals that we got in. That's it, guys. Have a good night or morning, afternoon, wherever you're watching from. Bye-bye for now.